Zambians have begun to tell their stories loudly. He says, Roxy, you're going to be one of the biggest. We're putting you on radio. What name are you going to go with? I was like, Roxy. And he's like, that's a stripper name.
Roxy, take 2 and action.
Roxy, good to have me here. Sorry.
Okay. Very funny. Okay.
No, good to have you here, Roxy. We've been looking forward to it.
Thank you for having me.
Here's where I want to start this, right? Mm-hmm. I've noticed, because currently when people look at Roxy, you're many things. So you're a radio presenter, you're doing stuff in front of the screen, you're a business executive, you're doing events, you're doing all these things, right?
Yes, I am.
But then we see that and we're like, oh, there's another layer to her, there's another layer to her. But if we dig back to a younger you,
yes,
I'm sure we'll find clues of these things that are manifesting now. So like, say for example, if you see a guy who looks so fit, but previously maybe he wasn't so fit, usually if you dig back into their childhood, you find that they used to be doing track and field.
Yeah.
B-Flow was on that chair that you're on, and we know him for his activism and all this stuff. But when we dug back into his youth, we found that he was part of the anti-AIDS club and all that.
A head boy as well, I think.
Exactly. So all that stuff. So with you, where are these things when there's a younger Roxy? What are some of the elements that we are seeing now in terms of your professional career that you might look back and say, okay, this is something that I used to do when I was, 15 or whatever?
I think the music aspect was always in me. I was in the choir at school. Yeah, those are things people don't know about me. Actually, I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. I was in the choir. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I was in the choir at school. So one of the things that I guess was a bit naughty is that I would actually run away from some of my classes to go and sing, to go and practice my singing and everything. So initially, I wanted to be a musician.
Wow.
That was my initial dream.
Yeah.
Yes. And what other? I'm trying to look for
and
other.
The event organize. Well, I don't want to say event organizing because what you're doing, for example, with Zambian Man of the Year and the other event that you had, the women one, has a lot more skills that are required of you. So I'm just wondering, there must be, when you look back, some...
I was a head girl at some point. So I was managing people at some point. I think when I was in grade 6, 7, I was actually a head girl in primary school. So yeah, I guess that's where that comes from. But also my passion for entertainment has always been with me. So I used to watch a lot of MTV Awards, the Grammys. I was the type that would wake up at 3 a.m. to literally watch. And I pay attention to detail. So those are the things I guess that I picked up even just from watching. Yeah, from watching.
Now, in terms of entertainment, you're second generation. You might even say, no, I'm third. But as far as I know, you're second generation. Your late dad. There's some people that I know because maybe because of my age, who would be like, Roxy, SpaceKid's, child.
Yeah.
And just do say child. and they know you like that. So their knowledge of you is based on the proximity of your dad and his importance to the entertainment industry during that era.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, were you kind of aware of your dad's position, and has that kind of filtered to you in any way or form?
I was aware because my dad and I had a very open relationship. So even when he would go and play like in the club, and the times I'd be in the club, he's playing and I'm dancing on the dance floor, that sort of thing. So it's something that has always been, or I've always been exposed to from the time that I was young. Because even growing up, some of those people would actually call me SpaceKid Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I was SpaceKid Jr. growing up. So I already knew of that side of him. So the influence of him, I think, was always there. Because also he would play a lot of music in the house whilst we were growing up and all of that. And I think he saw it in me way before. But he didn't like it at all. My dad was no. He said, no, you can't be in entertainment. He actually refused the first time.
Was that based on his experiences?
Yes, based on his experience. I think with the way that entertainers back in the day they never used to take it as seriously, like in terms of business. For them, I think it was just do their work, go party, go enjoy what they've made. You know, I think that's what it was back in the day. Luckily for us, we've sort of changed how we handle our entertainment careers, whereas we treat it as a business and we handle it in that manner. So I think for him, he thought if she gets into this space, she's going to lose it, you know. So he was very against it in the beginning, but he raised a stubborn child. So.
Now, and your journey has been a lot of hard work. We've seen that, and a lot of the moves that you made have been, as far as we know, on your own. You pushing your own agenda and you rising like that.
Yeah.
The industry also has a lot of his peers who are now maybe like media owners and that kind of thing. Did you get that sense that maybe some of them were kind of like big brotherly or unclely? Is that word like unclely? Or am I making it up?
I don't know.
Towards you, like, you know, try to look out for you or in any sense, or wasn't that the case?
I don't know if I should, because by the time, like, let's say when I started at Phoenix, Gesh had left. You know, he wasn't there. So, yeah, maybe when I'm like on the copper belt, there'll be those things. But I think we've never really worked in a space together, if you get what I mean. So there's never really been the opportunity for him to be that big brotherly. But when we meet, and he is big brotherly. Yeah, but we've never really gotten to work together, unfortunately. And I hope that we do, actually. Thinking about it now, I hope that we do, because I missed the opportunity with my dad. I used to say we're going to do like one show together on radio and everything, but we kept on just putting it off, and eventually it never happened. So, So, in fact, this for me is very exciting, because I've been looking forward to something like this. I know I'm always the one interviewing you, but this is nice for a change.
So, speaking of interviewing, because you know, you've interviewed some big names. I'm very jealous of the Roger Federer one, for example. Was that the highlight in terms of the people that you've who are extremely successful, who you've had the opportunity to be in close proximity with like that?
You know what's weird is I know people would expect me to say Roger Federer or Richard Branson, because I've interviewed those two. But it was Brian McKnight was a highlight for me, because I grew up listening to his music. I know his songs word for word. And when he came through, it was a bit difficult to get him to actually do an interview, like a personal interview with anybody. But he agreed to me. And that was huge for me when he said, like, you know what? Let me give you the interview. And I was just in awe, because I'm like, I grew up listening to your songs. You know, I know your songs word for word. So that was huge for me. But I still won't take away the highlight of being able to interview people like Roger Federer and Richard Branson. I'll be honest with you, with Richard Branson, I heard the hype. I sort of had an idea of who he was, but I don't think I understood the magnitude at the time. Yes, because I was very young. And I was very young.
But he's also not like, you know, it's interesting, because when I look at him, he's got a flamboyance about him when you look at the curated things.
Yes.
So when you see him, you know, hot air balloon or doing press, but in person, he just seems like he's a bit of not a nervous guy, but he's not, you know what I mean? He's not a vibey.
Exactly.
I'd understand why, you know, Brian McKnight would be over him. At first I thought, no, Roxy just doesn't like, you know, these guys whose names start with R. So it's not Roger, it's not Richard. But
No. But Brian was an excitement for me.
Okay. Tell us about your journey in media. Now, I remember first being in contact with you. I think you were just moving to Phoenix. I can't remember which you were at a different station before you moved.
I was at Hot FM.
You were at Hot FM.
Yes, I was at Hot FM.
How did your radio journey start, you know, at the beginning?
Initially, I wanted to be on TV. And I worked for movie TV as an intern. And Tinta Chiseko. The late Augustine Lungu actually put me on.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I've always been, I don't know, what's the word for it? I know how to force my way into
spaces.
Because I'm pretty sure even with you, I was just like, hi, Chilu, Lemba, how are you? I want to interview you. And I'm sure you were just like, this little girl. But I've always been that.
Bullish.
Yes, I've always been bullish. I've always been. So even with him, I just picked up the phone and I'm like, oh, my name is Chanda. I'm at Zamcom. I want to come and intern at Movie TV. And then when you're studying journalism, you're supposed to go straight to the newsroom. It's no rules asked. Like, that's the rule everywhere. Every single college, you start with the newsroom because that's where you have to learn the ropes first. I refused.
Really?
Yes. Because I wanted TV. So I said, please, 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 could you put me on TV? And luckily, at the time, Tinta Chisekwa, I think she was pregnant, so she needed extra help. They needed extra help, actually, because I think both presenters at the time were pregnant, so they needed extra help. So that's how I was lucky enough to join the TV side of things rather than the newsroom. And they were kind enough to teach me and to sort of get me in the ropes of everything. Unfortunately, my internship came to an end and I had to go back to school to finish. And then when it was time to now get into like employment for real, those people were not there anymore. So it was hard to get back in. And I didn't want radio because I felt like I was always going to be SpaceKid's daughter in radio. Yes, because of the DJ aspect of things. So I didn't want that. But then someone connected me to Chepa. Kachepa Mtumbi is the one who put me on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's the one who put me on. He first gave me this, there's this show where I used to narrate. I've actually forgotten it, but I used to narrate. It was a diary of sorts.
Okay.
Someone's diary. I've forgotten her name. So I was, Tandiwe's diary, actually. So I was Tandiwe. And I would narrate. He would write and I would narrate. And then from there, I was put on a Saturday show alongside Gary.
Yeah,
we're doing, we're doing Z6 to 6. So I think we had part 2. Was it part 2, part 1? No, we had Planet Z, actually. Planet Z is what we had.
Okay.
Yeah, on Saturdays. So I was doing the mid-morning show with him. And I was at Hot FM for about a year.
And then Phoenix happened.
And then, yes, I left Hot FM and then Phoenix happened and then they put me back on Graveyard. But I was just always excited to be on radio. Like, that was like my thing. I was so excited. No matter what time they gave me, I was just happy to be there because it was such a huge opportunity. And then I started climbing.
Pause. The Z Flashback audience generally knows Graveyard, but there's that one guy. What?
What is Graveyard?
Exactly.
That's true.
Cemetery.
That's true. Okay, so to break it down, Graveyard is actually the shift they give you when you're new, and that's at night.
Yeah.
So that's why it's called
midnight to something.
Yes, midnight to like 5 a.m. So that's generally that's what Graveyard is. So if you're in radio, you understand what it is to climb from Graveyard to prime time. You understand that, so yeah.
Okay. I'm leading up to your stay at Phoenix, I think has been predominantly iconic, partly because of your chemistry and with Luchi.
Yes.
And that's been, ongoing for a number of years, till recently. And you still connect, like I know you're off and on doing the podcast.
Yeah.
But what do you think are the ingredients that make up that chemistry, because both of you guys have very, very broad and sometimes very detailed views on subjects, very opinionated and that kind of thing. But what do you think are the ingredients that make that duo work?
I think from the get-go, we had the same values and beliefs. I think that's what helped us for the most part. We have the same values and beliefs. And then we were friends. And then we just knew when to pick up for the other. Like even when how do I put it? We knew when it was the right time to punch. Whether it was with getting the audience angry or getting them to take a side or getting them to laugh with us or getting them to cry with us. We both knew where to pick up from. So like if I say something, he knew to disagree to get the audience to be in that space. When he says something, I knew to agree or to disagree, to get the audience to be in that space. So I think that was our chemistry. We just knew where to pick up from each other. And then, like you said, we're very bold.
Yeah.
Both of us were very bold about, even with the politicians, we would get calls after like, you two talk too much. Can't you simmer down? I think at some point we were even called into parliament to go and apologize at some point.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but we didn't go. We managed to sort it out before we had to go to parliament. But yeah.
Head girl, which school?
Machinga Primary School.
And in terms of growing up, which towns? Where's Machinga?
It's in Lusaka.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I did my grade 6 and grade 7 here.
Yeah.
But my primary school, I started in Ndola Modern High School.
It's funny. My sister used to be at Modern High School.
Oh, okay.
My younger
I see.
sister, Sepo. We used to live in Ndola.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
back
didn't know
in
that.
the
I always thought you were from Kitwe.
Really?
Yes, I don't know why.
In my whole
always
life, I
thought
think
that.
I've spent like 2 minutes in Kitwe.
Are you for real?
Okay, no longer than 2 minutes.
Oh,
but
okay.
Kitwe is the city that I know the least.
Oh.
Lived in Ndola for a number of years. Livingston, that's my backyard, Lusaka, but not necessarily, Kitwe. No, Kitwe.
Oh, okay.
They lived there for a very short time.
I see.
So, being at Phoenix, this is what happens with radio. Radio opens a lot of doors, especially when you're doing interview type stuff.
Yes.
So the one example of a person who has, in a similar sense, used the platform of being on radio to network and start growing the other pockets of their life is a guy called, his name slips my mind, but he owns Power FM in South Africa. And he owns a number of agencies. But he used to be, when he started out, funnily enough, I used to hear of him from Moses and Asa Nyama. Because at the time he was doing Graveyard on Kaya FM. From Graveyard he graduated and then he started doing a show on the afternoon on Metro FM where he was interviewing politicians and movers and shakers. Given Curry is his name, right? It's come back here. And from there, based on those conversations and based on obviously his drive and his knowledge of the media, he started building his empire. But we cannot question that, the time that he was doing those discussions, those interviews, those led to opportunities. Did you find a similar situation with you? Because with the shows that you were doing, your network expands because of who you're dealing with, who you're interviewing, who you're having conversations with. Is that also something that you could say happened in your journey?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we being put on breakfast show, which initially I did not want to do. I did not want to do
because of
breakfast.
waking up early.
No, because of the politics, current affairs. I was this young. I was young and being thrown into the deep end. You know what I mean? My passion was entertainment. My passion was entertainers, the musicians. I don't know if you recall, but I used to have this show called The Hangout, and I used to interview entertainers. I think that's where I actually
that's where you interviewed me. Yeah,
exactly. So when our new partners at Phoenix from Yarona FM came and took over, and they said, "You would be good for breakfast." I was like, "No, I don't want to do it." And he and Owen at the time, he says, "Roxy, 5 years from now, you told me this is going to change your life. You're going to be one of the biggest females in radio."
He was
in this
prophesying.
country.
Owen.
He literally said it, and I was still like, no, it's too much, So I was thrown into the deep end of things in terms of breakfast with the current affairs and dealing with politicians, because those guys can be bullies, But I guess my bullish side helped.
Yeah.
Yes, because I was able to sort of still stand up to people, because I remember even when we started the breakfast show, a lot of the men were not on about me having an opinion.
Oh, so it's almost like they were treating you like you were eye candy, or
it's like keep quiet, the man is talking.
Oh man,
that's what it was. That's what I had to overcome that at the beginning. But the moment I started to give my voice, which is back to your question, when I started to give my voice, I think is when people started to pay attention. And then I started to now network and actually talk to people and get to know people. And I still believe in introducing myself. So 3/4 of the time when we'd be invited somewhere or whatever, like I said, "Hi, I'm Roxy.
Yeah.
I want to do this. Do you have any opportunities?" What? That was me. I was always the type that introduces myself, and I go to people and I'm like, "I would like an opportunity. If there's anything that I can do, please do call." you know. And obviously it wouldn't come there and then, but eventually it started to come. So yes, being on radio and being on a show like The Breakfast Show really has helped in terms of the network that has helped me grow in the different spheres I'm trying to grow.
How did you also figure out, because your branding is pretty strong. I mean, there was even a discussion just before you walked in. No, she got this Wikipedia page, and you know, so your branding is pretty strong, and so how important does that play into what you're doing? And also, Roxy, the name. What is the genesis?
The genesis is I liked the name. So when Chepa asked me, he says, we're putting you on radio, what name are you going to go with? I was like, Roxy. And he's like, that's a stripper name. I'm like, well, I like it. So I'm still going to go with it. And yeah, it stuck. And now even my uncles, my family, everybody, they don't even call me Chanda anymore. Like even at the family functions.
It takes me a while to think when somebody says, no, you're going to be chatting with Chanda. Oh, Roxy.
Chanda. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now everyone just calls me Roxy. Yo, Jones. Jones is... I come from a very theatrical family. Right? So me and my cousins, we thought we were going to be the Kardashians. We had our own The Jones reality show. We have these home videos somewhere, stashed somewhere, and we would play out our reality thing. So I was Roxy Jones. There's Val Jones somewhere in the family. There's Sheila Jones, Phil Jones. Yeah.
Wow.
So we thought we were going to be the Kardashians.
We can get rich finding those tapes. that can be our show.
Yeah, we were trying to do a whole reality.
The Jones tapes.
So we're trying to do a whole reality thing. So that
Okay, now you there's this era of yours which I've noticed the past I'd say probably 3-4 years, because that's when I've noticed it. So it might even be longer. Where now you're putting together you're involved in putting together these events which are brands that stand alone. So, you know, Zambian Man of the Year. Before that, I forget the one where you had the women...
The Women's Summit, the Women's Summit,
sorry, yeah. And those are a lot of hard work to put together, because, I mean, like when we had the Lusaka Radio Summit, which we did for a number of years, the amount of work that goes into there, from securing guests, from getting people to believe in the vision, from sponsorship, from getting flights and accommodation partners and all those things, it's not an easy task. You know, it's the kind of thing where at some point you think, do we really need to do this? Let's throw in the towel. Yeah. How did that come about? Like, you know, in terms of the women's event that you did, because that was the first one, isn't it? And then what are the kind of we obviously know the successes because we see the results when we see the events play out. But what are some of the challenges that you face doing such? And also, I'm going to ask you about your support system. So that's 3 questions.
The support system is next to you. But both of them, actually.
I'm being observed here. Like there's a lot of eyes on me on these questions.
Both of them. So when I just started radio, I think maybe 2-3 years into it, I was doing a show called The Hangout. I had the Hangout open mic sessions. It's funny, I actually forgot about them all these years until someone asked to say, do you have a background in events? At first I was like, no, I don't. Then it came to me, I was like, yo, you used to do these open mic sessions.
Oh, so the open mic sessions were live?
Yes. I would actually have them at Polo Grill and at News Cafe. Yes. So some of these like Wezi, and then when they were just starting out, actually started there at the Hangout open mic session.
Okay.
Yes. So the Wezis, who else? Ariel, right? Who else was there? Did you come once? No? Because he used to be a rapper. I don't know if you know that.
No, I've listened to the EP.
Exactly.
He's off camera. We're talking about
FJ as well.
Okay.
Yes, FJ. So when they were all starting out, I had this open mic session. I really wanted to showcase Zambian talent like that. And I think that has always been me. I'm always trying to showcase Zambians and what they can do. And that's where my passion for interviewing and all of that comes from. So I don't know if I should start with the Women's Summit or the Man of the Year Awards.
Which one is fresher in your memory right now?
Well, both. But the Man of the Year Awards means more to me, and I don't know if that sounds right
because you're crossing gender, like
Not
this one for the men means more to me than the one for the women.
No, that's not it. I had a show called Man of the Week. I don't know if you featured on Man of the Week. Remember, I interviewed you twice in my life.
Yeah.
So the first time was on the Hangout, and then the second time was Man of the Week. And in Man of the Week, my hope was to showcase the Zambian story of men who are doing successful things in their lives. And I felt like it's only, I think, the recent 3 years that Zambians have begun to tell their stories loudly.
Yeah.
Before that, people were very modest, very humble, very... Because I feel
as we are as a
feel like
society.
Zambians misuse this whole humble thing.
Yeah.
That's a conversation.
It can get you elected to the highest office.
Being humble, I don't know. But then I just felt like there was a gap in Zambian stories being told. We had all these people who are doing amazing things. I mean, look at yourself. This is not me just trying to make you feel nice or whatever. But like, you're in South Africa, you're representing Zambia, you've been doing amazing things. You voiced for Mnet, you voiced for 2010 World Cup. That's huge. But in your own country, they're not going to look at it like that. It's like, oh, okay. And I just felt like these are huge stories. People need to know that people are doing big things. They're doing amazing things. And so I started Man of the Week. And in Man of the Week, I wanted to start the Man of the Year Awards. And that was in 2017.
Oh, wow.
There's actually a page, the Zambian Man of the Year Awards in 2017.
Oh.
But I wasn't brave enough to see it through at the time. Yes, I wasn't brave enough, confident enough. And I just feel like maybe also wasn't the right time. I was still growing. And I think that I hadn't yet started to network at a more business level. So obviously walking into some of those rooms, I think people would have just been like, hey, this DJ. You get how it is. But I think eventually, after the Women's Summit, I felt like, I think I can finally do this. I've created a name enough. I understand the stories enough. And I've done events. I had done the Women's Summit. So I think coming from there, it was going to be easier for me to be able to tackle that. But it was hard to get people to believe in. Because I'm like, Zambian Man of the Year was like, what's that? Why the men? How is it even going to work? That sort of thing. I had people I had approached. Some even backed out like midway and things like that.
As in sponsors?
Not sponsors, but it's an awards show. You want people who can give you insight into how to sort of pick nominees, into even just giving the awards credibility and things like that. So that was very hard to get at the beginning. I mean, obviously, we were able to write to some governing bodies to participate and give us names, which some did, because like, oh, this is actually a good thing. Others are like, what is this? But I'm a never say die girl. When I want something and I push for it, I ensure that actually it gets done. So I was going to do it regardless of how people felt about it. Because even with the nominations, some of the nominees are like, please get me off the list. What is this? I don't understand this. Yes, I don't understand this. Wow. But I still went ahead and I did it. It was hard. I won't lie. I did it and it turned out to be very successful. Like what I didn't even expect it to be, and then now moving to the second one, we have a lot more people believing in it. Our sponsors also have grown as well in terms of the numbers of those that came on board. And we have people who actually want to be a part of it in terms of even being like giving it the credibility. So we actually now have put together an advisory board now that's supposed to help in getting the names together. So we have people like Phil Daka, who's the chairperson for Tobacco Board of Zambia. We have Matimba, Joseph Matimba, who is the vice president for Zika. We also have Dr. Brenda. She's part of the Football Association of Zambia. She sits on the board of that, as well as I think she works with CAF as well. And then there's myself. as well on that. So we sit together, and obviously we'll be able to do better, and also to just have different fields of people coming together to help in the selection process. But yeah, I think that it was high time that we started to celebrate Zambian men, because we have a lot of men in positions who are helping and pushing the industry or the economy of this country, but without a pat on the back, because obviously men have been villainized. But men do good things as well. Men are working.
We're good, man.
Exactly.
We're not dogs.
Exactly.
Hey, remove that hashtag.
Exactly. Men are good people.
No, I think it's a commendable thing that you're doing, and like every year we've had 2 so far. I can see that it's going to grow. And it's going to be bigger as you go on.
And the men love it. I like that they actually love it. They're like, okay, they get to dress up, come
we had
through.
Trevor Mumba here. He won International Man of the Year.
Yes.
And he's like so. It's almost like a lease of life injected, based on wins of things of that sort. So I think it's encouraging to be even if you're nominated, it's a big thing. How don't you get overwhelmed, because you there's the Roxy brand, there's the Man of the Year, your mom, there's all these things going. How do you bullet past moments where you feel overwhelmed?
To be honest, I have been feeling overwhelmed the past 2-3 months. We've been discussing it with my
you get
assistant
a hug from
Emma,
and you're good.
we've been talking about it. We noticed that the Roxy brand has suffered because of 808. Because when I put my heart into something, I'm laser focused. And then you find that the Roxy brand that everybody knows, and that I think is even what anchors 808. Is suffering because people know 808 because of Roxy. But if Roxy is not doing too well, then it's a bit difficult also to pour into 808. But my plan was to give 808 foundation, which is why I had to put my back into it, in ensuring that it gets off the ground and gets the value or the foundation, the kind of foundation that it deserves. And now I feel like I can even sort of step back a little and focus on Roxy, because I felt like, okay, the Roxy brand. And I also think that it's been a bit confusing for people in terms of when I started out, I was full-blown entertainment. The Roxy brand was full-blown entertainment. She's a DJ, or she's a radio presenter. She plays music, she's about lifestyle and things like that. And then people have known me that way all this time. And then now I'm like, actually, I'm the CEO of 808. I'm doing this thing that's huge. So now I think my fans are like a little confused, like, okay, but I think I've been slowly trying to marinate them into this version of me that is still Roxy, the presenter, still Roxy, the MC, the host, but Roxy that's also trying to grow a business as well.
I think at the end of the day, you might be thinking of it that way, but I think people start to distill and understand as you go what's going on. Especially, these things have to have you pushing them in a sense. So even with what we're doing right now, there's some people who are still going to refer to the Radio Summit as a me thing, or Z Flashback as a me thing. But it's a team effort. So you're gonna be here, you're gonna be there. But at the end of the day, I think what's important is progress. And your brand, as strong as it is the catalyst and is what pushes it. But I think at the end of the day, people will kind of, understand and just appreciate that you are part of the movement and pushing an agenda that's making society better in a sense. So, salute and kudos to that. So don't beat yourself up. Beat yourself up only when you're patting yourself on the back.
I guess it just gets overwhelming. But I mean, this branding thing, you did ask earlier about branding, which I didn't answer because I sort of digressed. But I think with branding, I've always also been very meticulous in what I want and picky. I'm the sort of person who actually says no. I don't agree to everything that's thrown at me, because I know that in Zambia, in trying to be a brand, people think that you have to be loud, which means that you have to be on everything, literally. And for me, that's not how it works. I'm very picky about what I want to do, who I want to associate with, what brands I want to align with, so that the Roxy brand is always how I envision it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Levi has a question. Passing on the mic.
Okay. I'm scared of
Oh,
because you know me, but he does. So now I'm more scared. Okay, I hope so.
Yeah, so let's start this off on an easy note.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So moving into let's say you've spoken a lot about branding, for instance, right? And just a little bit of background about me and where my question is coming from. I'm like a graphic designer, like an art director now, and branding is like the foundation of everything that I do, in a way, and even the clients that I work with and the projects I touch. And you just mentioned a moment ago that in Zambia it's like you have to be loud for your brand to be either seen or heard.
Yeah.
And you sort of go the opposite way in doing so. So could you just maybe highlight how your thinking process is on maybe not being loud, but being relevant and impactful in how your brands are positioned and how you execute?
I feel like I'm even confused with the question.
But okay, in short, how do you execute your brand in a meaningful way that's not loud like the way most Zambian brands do?
Okay, well, maybe we need to take out the loud. Maybe that was just me trying to put context, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still loud, but I like to align with what is Roxy, right? I'll give you this example. I don't think people think Roxy can wash. I can wash, but I'm saying the way people view me. So it means if a washing powder came to me and said, Roxy, can you push this? Even if the money is good, I'm going to say no, because exactly. I don't.
But if Samsung came with a dual action,
Exactly. You know what I mean?
machine.
So I think that if
So that's authenticity. That's
exactly.
That's what I'm
I like
seeing.
to be authentic, and I also like to keep my brand the way I want people to receive it. I just don't want them to just because they've seen that, okay, we saw her, she's doing this. Now she's with the washing powder. Next she's with the Mahel. Then she's with the Samsung. Then she's with, you know what I mean? So there's a way that the brand is that I feel if people know your brand as this, I think it can be a bit confusing to people if you're on everything.
Preach.
I think.
Come on.
I think.
No,
I don't
it's
know.
true,
It
it's
might
true.
be. I mean, it works in Zambia for some reason. People are on everything.
Yeah.
And it works. But I do believe that there's a way that people view you as a brand. And so there are certain things they will always align you with. And there are certain things that they will question. And they'll say, okay, are you sure this is where, like, what's happening here? Yeah.
And you know, just I think maybe you're also selling yourself short. What you are doing there is, like I said earlier, authenticity, and also, like you've also said again, alignment, which are some of the foundations of branding. Because, like you've said, a lot of people switch from this. It's like you become a kantemba for being these things. But in reality, you pick the projects that suit you, what people know you for, and hence your authenticity and even your marketability on those few things actually even make you more credible than someone who does other things. So yeah, kudos to you for that. Then another thing we noticed while just doing a little bit of some research on you is you recently did some stuff with I don't know if I'm allowed to say the names, but was it the Zambia airports, Pick and Pay, and a few others. So how did you align yourself with those particular brands? Because they're like well-known established brands in Zambia, and the fact that they chose you also speaks volume. So how did you get yourself in a position to work with them, and how is it that you're able to execute that on your social media platforms?
Okay, I think the process is networking firstly. I mean, like I said, I'm picky. So even with networking, I network with the people I hope to work with someday, you know. So I've had the pleasure or the honor of having Zambia Airports support my events. So they actually do come through to the Women's Summit and the Men's Awards as well. Yes. So they've supported in that regard. And so when they actually called to, they sent a gift for the festive period. So when they called, they actually said, we're sending it to you as 808 and not even as Roxy. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that actually made me feel like, wow, we're doing it, hey?
Yeah.
It made me feel like, wow, we're doing it. But in terms of the other brands that you've talked about, like Pick and Pay, I've had a relationship with Pick and Pay, I think for the past 3 years or so. And they approached me, and the person that handles that knows. They even know it's okay. I've had media agencies that actually say, Roxy, this one, she's going to say no. Like, this one, she's going to say no. She's not going to do it. You know, whereas with other people, I guess they might do it. So I think networking and, again, aligning. You network with what you want to do. To do. And also, if you present yourself in a manner that is attractive to those types of brands, then I guess they will come to you. Yeah.
Facts. You're like a walking Bible of like branding, and I don't think you realize it, but like the stuff you're speaking is stuff that I read in books, stuff that like gurus on the US like constantly preach.
That's making me feel some type of way.
You know? And
I don't speak much. People have been complaining that I should speak more because apparently I have this experience, so I should speak more. Right? I should speak more.
and finally, on my end, to close off my section, is you mentioned that earlier that there was so much that you wanted to do, and that you faced a few challenges that maybe didn't allow you to to follow through on certain ideas and things that you wanted to do. So how were you able to overcome that space in your mind of pulling through and overcoming like those self-doubts that you had when you were younger?
I think the process of my career has allowed me to learn patience and timing. Yeah. So I've always been very ambitious. So there's certain things I wanted to do even when I just started radio. I thought, I need to be there. Because I've always been ambitious like that. Yeah. But I wasn't ready. You know, I think I've said this in another interview as well, that sometimes you're not ready for what you're asking God for, you know, because you haven't gained the experience. Like, let's say I always wanted to be an MC, to host events. Right? Like as an MC. But I never used to get hired. And I was so good at leaning on Luchi during the shows. So I didn't know how to be by myself. So when we were moved from the breakfast show, I really thought it was a bad thing because, we were at the height of radio. But I think that was God now teaching me to stand on my own, you know? And I finally learned how to host by myself. And when I learned how to host by myself is when the emceeing gigs now started coming. That's when people started calling me and saying, oh, we want you to come through. You know what I mean? When I was on breakfast, I thought I deserved it then because I was a big name. Yeah. But I didn't because I don't think that I knew how to hold a stage by myself. Yes. And so I needed to be by myself to learn how to do that. So I think patience, timing, and understanding and preparation. You know, the whole idea for where you want to go is to prepare. You can't say, I'm going to do the Man of the Year Awards and you haven't had the journey to prepare, to teach you the networking, to teach you the planning of the events, to teach you the emceeing. I come from the entertainment industry. So putting an event like that, I've experienced different spheres of the event. I've experienced the hosting, the emceeing, so I know what kind of feel I want in terms of my MCs. You know, I've experienced voiceovers and all of that, so I know the voice I want in terms of the nominees, like when the voice is in the background and all of that. You know, even just attending events, so I know, you know what I mean. So I think preparation is what gets you to where you want to go, but you have to have patience as well, and also just be a go-getter. Be patient, but don't let the moment pass. Yes. I like how Chilu's looking at me and like he's older and wiser, but he's like, yes, Roxy.
Older and wiser, yeah, right. No, I'm learning and I'm fascinated by these things, Levi. And say, for example, there's an award show that I do voice for in South Africa. I haven't done it in a couple of years, not since COVID.
Yeah.
But the person that organizes it, initially they used to have different MCs doing it, and then they started emceeing it themselves. And it's a lot of work. I can see the amount of stress because they're pulling in more roles, as opposed to how I'm seeing you do this now. I'm saying I'm dating this. This is 2023, So 2024, you might see Roxy hosting the Man of the Year awards. So I'm just saying it might be different later on. But the way you're doing it now, I think is pretty cool because a lot of the times when I see the publicity regarding the Zambian Man of the Year awards, even if you can voice it, even if you can MC it, there's an event MC announcement which you put out where you are empowering other people to play those roles and stuff so that you are involved more in the structure and the what do you call it? The backbone of the show, which I think is admirable. All right, we're coming to a close, Miss Roxy. What, and I've been asking this question to a number of people, if you were to speak to a younger Roxy, a younger Chanda, pre-Roxy, and give that person advice like, okay, you're about to embark on this journey, look out for this, look out for that. What kind of words are you speaking to a younger you?
I don't know. I think I'd probably just say go for it. Because I've always been one of those sure people. I know what I want. I know that I'm going to get it. I just don't know the how. But I have this sureness about me, which is what I hope other people, I guess, can try and be about themselves. I think that's the advice that I would give other people. Because I think we tend to doubt ourselves. And also we allow people to instill doubt in us, Let's say, for example, when I said, oh, I'm bringing in Connie Ferguson.
Yeah.
And if I told people and they said, how? I mean, of which that's what happened. You know what I mean? But I've always been very sure about myself. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it, regardless of what anybody tells me, what kind of advice or whatnot. So to myself, to my younger self, I think I'll just say go for it. Because I think that even when I was younger, I always knew and I always took the steps to go for what I wanted to go for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I won't lie and say that along the way in growing, when you grow, you become more careful. So you now start allowing the naysayers to get in. When you're younger, the naysayers don't really get to you like that, I think, because you're in this... There's this bubble you are when you're younger. You can't tell me anything. You know what I mean? But then life throws you all these ridges and then you start to see like, okay, maybe this can't be done, But I think to other people, I would say always be sure about yourself and don't allow the outside noise to derail you from the things that you want to do. Yeah.
If you know me well, you know that when I say last question, there's always another. There's a last.
It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay.
You can see, Carol, that's you. Here's the last. So when you spoke of your dad at the beginning, you said that he was skeptical about you going into the industry. And at the time, I think based on his era and based on the examples during his era, the examples kind of maybe had set a precedent that the expectation is A and B, right?
Exactly.
Now you're second generation and you're part of the people that are expanding the expectation because you're doing more things. You're having the business side of it planted into what you're doing. There's a corporate aspect. There's all these things. It's like it's a different, complete different beast to when our parents were dealing in this industry. Is there going to be a third generation? When you look at your son, are you going to be welcoming to him if he decides that he's going to enter this space, or do you have other plans for?
Of course, I'm gonna be like, yes, you can do it because he's my son. He has my traits. He's my son. He has the Roxiness in him. He has that feistiness, the same that I got from my dad, God rest his soul. But as much as my dad actually said, no, you can't do this. When I said I was still going to do it,
He supported it.
he supported. My dad used to listen to my graveyard shifts. Like, I'll always be grateful for that, because even when I thought no one was listening, my dad was up listening. And my dad, I think one of the reasons I'm very sure of myself is because my dad has always told me that I can do it, I can be anything and everything that I ever want to be. I would tell my dad, this is what I'm doing, and he would say, does it make you happy? He would never question as to how is it going to work or what, there was never that moment of, but will this work, or how this, you know what I mean? So I think that also has helped in him raising a daughter that is as confident as I am. Because I actually used to get this in my younger Roxy days, is, you're too confident. Like it's a bad thing,
Yeah.
Like it's a bad thing. But I think that's what has pushed me to be able to go for the things that even people feel I shouldn't be getting. People ask me, but how did you convince Connie Ferguson to come? I spoke to her and I said, I'd like you to come. That's what happened. You know what I mean? I believed that I could do it, and it happened, So I think my son, I can see certain traits about him already that are, he knows who he is. He knows what he wants. I see that in him, that you can't tell my son to do something he doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
Yes, so I do believe that, though I think he might be sporty. I don't know about he might be sporty. It's very possible he might be a sporty person. So we'll see. But he loves music. He loves Fireboy. Every time the Fireboy comes on, he's quiet and he's in awe and everything. So I'm interested to see if he'll take on the SpaceKid side of things, or the Roxy side of things, or whatever it is he decides to do, I know that he will definitely thrive and be successful in it.
Whichever way things pan out, your son, my daughters, when they kind of get into the position that we're in, their era will be very different.
Yeah.
They'll have different tools at their disposal. The economy within whatever industry they'll be dealing with, I think, will be bigger. They'll probably have more success. Fingers crossed, more success than us. Here's while Levi was talking about, asking you that question, and you also talking about having a certain standard which is reflective of your brand. I remember when I was emceeing, people used to kind of accept that I'm emceeing, but like at with punchlines at an intellectual level and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm seeing wedding MCs dancing. You know what I mean?
That's why I don't MC weddings. I've been asked to MC weddings.
Really?
I did one.
Do the boogie.
I refused. I said no. I said, no, I don't MC weddings. And this couple was like, no, we really, really, really want you to come and MC because we want the sort of just run through and everything.
I'm gonna
Do you know
get
what
WhatsApp.
I got?
What did you get?
The aunties came.
Yeah. That's the
Mukashana.
Yeah.
Tusekesha. I'm like,
that always happens.
that's what I got. And from that time I said, I'm not even going to do it. So from that time I said, me and weddings, I'm sticking to what I said before. I do not MC weddings.
Yeah, but I think the long and short of it, and I know I'm going to get WhatsApp messages after this from MCs who dance. Like, what's wrong?
Yes,
what's wrong with us dancing?
Exactly.
No, but I think you should just kind of, people should realize that there's a standard which you should set, which is comfortable for yourself.
Exactly.
And that standard should permeate through all you do. So, when I'm on stage at whatever event, you will not see me,
with the dancing and everything.
I don't do it on TikTok. I won't do it on weddings. Roxy, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much for having
We salute you.
me.
We are honored to have had you here, and we wish you all the success in all your endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Roxy, man of everything and everything.
Thank you so much.
Salute.
Yeah, thank you for having me.